before I can even begin to think they've changed, I want an apology. Apologize and promise that you'll never do it again. Apologize and say that you were misguided, that you had read the wrong scripture, that you didn't understand Philemon, and you knew when you made that scripture about the interpretation about Noah, you knew you were lying. And you knew when you made Moses white, and Jesus white, and Mary white, and all the prophets white, and God white, you knew you were lying. You have to tell me, look at my black face, announce it to the world. Archbishop, Pope John Paul, you just can't sweep it under the rug and say they'll understand, or when we get to heaven we'll work it out. On this earth, how can you feel comfortable adopting the religion before you get an apology? Even in the New Testament, one time Paul found a man who was a hard-working man. His name was Onesimus. And Onesimus was a slave, but he just couldn't take slavery anymore. So Onesimus ran away from the plantation. And Paul found him and introduced him to Christianity. And Onesimus wanted to know, do I have to go back to that plantation and be a slave? Because after all, the man that owns that plantation, his name is Philemon, he is a Christian. And now that I am a Christian, and Philemon is a Christian, Paul, you're a Christian, what do you want me to do? I prefer staying with you and bringing people to Jesus, but I will do whatever you tell me. What should I do? Paul wrote an epistle or a letter to Philemon, and he spoke to Onesimus, and he said, Onesimus, go back to slavery. So if in the New Testament slavery is condoned, how comfortable will you be when you read the London Times headline today at the bottom of the page that says America, the great Christian nation, is targeting its nuclear weapons at third world countries. Headline at the bottom of the page. The Christian nation, have they changed? That's what you want to know. I'm not advocating. I'm just asking you to decide. I'm asking you why the Joint Chiefs of Staff was quoted this week saying, even though the Cold War is over, even though Russia is not a threat, we want enough nuclear capability to scare the world to death. Why would a Christian nation say that? Why would a Christian nation invade Grenada, 100,000 people, and kidnap Noriega, and target for destruction Saddam Hussein and Gaddafi, but they don't target Gorbachev nor Boris Yeltsin? Is there really a change in Christendom? That's why I want the Pope to share the platform. I'm not very important. The Pope certainly wouldn't come for my importance, but for you, he must tell you, along with the Archbishop and Jimmy Swaggart and the born-again evangelists and the Seventh-day Adventists and the Jehovah Witnesses and all those groups who borrow from the Christian message to demand that you convert. They must answer this question. Have those who control Christianity changed? Because even though Christianity started in the Middle East, it is now firmly in the grips of Europe and America. They make the decisions. They decide the color of Jesus. They decide the color of the angels. They decide the color of Moses. They decide the color of all of the prophets. And when you look at what they have this morning, go to your Sunday school class today. They haven't changed Jesus. They haven't made Jesus what Jesus said he was. They didn't have Moses, what Moses said he was. Moses said that God told him to put his hand in his bosom. He pulled it out. It was white, scared him to death. God calmed him and said, peace. Return your hand to your bosom. He put his hand back in and brought it out. It was restored to its original color. If he was white, there would be no miracle. He would just said Moses was white. He put it in, it came out white. He put it back, it came out white. No big deal. But the change was viewed as a miracle. Moses married an Ethiopian. What did he look like? Why did they change? Why have they not apologized? I can't answer those questions. I can't tell you about the reign of terror. I can't tell you about colonialism. I can't tell you why England went to war against China, because China did not want drugs. It's called the Opium War. I don't know why they don't want to teach you your history in England. They teach you about Socrates. They teach you about Disraeli. They teach you about Margaret Thatcher, but they don't want you to know about your history, and they tell you that it has nothing to do with race because they're not like they used to be. They know that maybe a few mistakes were made in the past, but now overlook them. Oh, you blacks! That's who constitutes the world. 85% of the world is not white. They want you. If Christianity is to survive, you make the difference. They have to find some way from television, radio. They have these church services on every Sunday morning on government television. They want you, but they don't want to give up ethnocentrism. They don't want to give up a white Jesus. They don't want to give up a white Moses. They don't want to apologize. They stole your blood, sucked your life, crucified your history, stole your religion, changed your language, and they refuse to apologize. They want Hitler to apologize. But they don't apologize to you. Thomas Jefferson wrote, all men are created equal. He also wrote that the black man is genetically inferior to the white man. That's the same man who boasted of his Christian commitment. How comfortable can you be in the years to come that the same doctrine of racism will not be used by the Christians again to justify dropping nuclear bombs on the Muslims in Russia, dropping nuclear bombs on black people in South Africa, Angola, and Namibia, dropping atomic bombs throughout Latin America, dropping atomic bombs on China and Japan. Read the article in the newspaper today. It will terrify you. Not an imagination of Khalid Abdullah Tariq al-Mansour, a report of a plan to target nuclear weapons on the third world by a Christian nation. Are you comfortable?